Hello and welcome to this exploring session. We are looking at the end of Antonio and Mellida by John Marston, and then we're going to take a little in-breath, wipe away the energy of that play, and then move on to Antonio's Revenge, also by John Marston, not to be confused with a popular character from a computer game series. I would explain the plot so far, but frankly, we're so near the end of the play. Just go back and watch some of the other videos. It will be fine. But to finish this Act 5, we're midway through Act 5. Some court business has occurred to demonstrate, I think, once again, the venality of the court. And now we're going into the home straight to find out precisely how this play, this entertainment, this thriller, this farce, this thing that we are playing around with today, we're reaching the climax, and we're about to find out how it all goes. Luckily, I have a fantastic team of readers with me this afternoon to help guide us through the text. So to introduce themselves one at a time, we will start with the reader reading Piero.
Hi, I'm Alan Scott.
And reading Rossaline, and in the second play, Stotzo.
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake.
And reading Antonio, in continuity between the two.
Hello, I'm William Sutton.
And reading Castilo and Maria in the second play.
Hi, I'm Liz.
And reading Balurdo and Nutriche in the second play.
Hiya, I'm Gloria Sanders.
And reading Mellida and later Pandulpho is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good.
And reading Galeatzo and the prologue to the next play.
Hi, I'm Pamela Flanagan.
And reading Matzagente, or however we decide to pronounce it, is...
Hi, I'm Tamara Rittala.
And reading Feliche and Lucio.
Hi, I'm Ruth Evans.
And finally, reading Andrugio and Forobosco is...
Hi, I'm Derek Dunne.
Excellent. Did I miss anybody in the room? No. I am, however, Robert Crighton, and I'm currently down only to read the stage directions, which is where I like to live for these sessions. Occasionally making silly noises and generally trying to keep the room ticking over with energy and vivality, which we'll see how appropriate that is as we go. So we've had some court business. We're in the midst of Act 5. We're rushing towards the end, and there are various characters on stage. Feliche and Balurdo have been doing some bants, and unto them enter Forobosco, Castilo, a boy carrying a gilt harp, Piero, Mellida in night apparel, Rossaline, Flavia, and 2 pages.
Advance the music's prize now, gapering wits. Rise to your highest mount, let choice delight garland the brow of this triumphant knight. Sud, that sits like Lucifer himself.
Good sweet Duke, first let their voices strain for music's prize. Give me the golden harp. Faith, with your favour, I'll be empress.
Sweet niece, content. Boys, clear your voice and sing.
And the first boy sings.
By this gold, I had rather have a servant with a short nose and a thin hair than have such a high-stretched minikin voice.
Fair niece, your reason?
By the sweet of love, I should fear extremely that he were a eunuch.
Spark Spirit, how like you his voice?
Spark Spirit, how like you his voice? So help me, youth, thy voice squeaks like a dry corkshoe. Come, come, let's hear the next.
And the second boy sings.
Trust me, a strong mean. Well sung, my boy.
Enter Balurdo.
Hold, are you blind? Could you not see my voice coming for the harp? And I knock not division on the head. Take hence thy harp, make me a slip, and let me go but for 9 pence. Sir Mark, strike up for Master Balurdo.
And the third boy sings.
Judgment, gentlemen, judgment. What's not above line? I appeal to your mouths that heard my song. Do me right and dub me Knight Balurdo.
Kneel down and I'll dub thee Knight of the Golden Harp.
Indeed, Lord, do. And I'll make you Lady of the Silver Fiddlestick.
Come, kneel. Kneel.
Enter a page to Balurdo.
My troth, I thank you. It hath never a whistle in't.
Nay, good sweet coz, raise up your drooping eyes. And I were at the point of to have and to hold from this day forward, I would be ashamed to look thus lumpish. What, my pretty coz? 'Tis but the loss of an odd maidenhead. Shall'st dance? Thou art so sad. Hark in thine ear, I was about to say, but I'll forbear.
Oh, I come, more than most honeysuckle sweet ladies. Pine not for my presence, I'll return in pomp. Well spoke, Sir Geoffrey Balurdo. As I am a true knight, I feel honourable eloquence begin to grope me already.
And Balurdo exits.
Faith, mad niece, I wonder when thou wilt marry.
Faith, kind uncle, when men abandon jealousy, forsake taking of tobacco, and cease to wear their beards so rudely long. Ugh, to have a husband with a mouth continually smoking, with a bush of furs on the ridge of his chin, ready still to flop into his foaming chaps. Ugh, 'tis more than most intolerable.
Nay, faith, sweet niece, I was mighty strong in thought we should have shut up night with an old comedy. The Prince of Florence shall have Mellida, and thou shouldst have...
Nobody, good sweet uncle. I tell you, sir, I have 39 servants, and my monkey that makes the 40th. Now, I love all of them lightly for something, but affect none of them seriously for anything. One's a passionate fool, and he flatters me above belief. The second's a testy ape, and he rails at me beyond reason. The third's as grave as some censor, and he strokes up his mustachios 3 times and makes 6 plots of set faces before he speaks one wise word. The fourth's as dry as the burr of an artichoke. The fifth paints, and hath always a good colour for what he speaks. The sixth...
Stay, sweet niece. What makes you thus suspect your gallant's worth?
Oh, when I see one wear a periwig, I dread his hair. Another wallow in a great slop, I mistrust the proportion of his thigh. And wears a ruffled boot, I fear the fashion of his leg. Thus something in each thing, one trick in everything, makes me mistrust imperfection in all parts. And there's the full point of my addiction.
And we'll just pause there. As we can all feel the acceleration of this play towards its climax here with this vitally important plot business. I do love Rossaline.
It's great.
I love the fact, she's got 40 servants and she gets to the 6th one and thank God someone stops her. Because she'd keep going. Balurdo, silver fiddlestick there on his knees.
Yes.
And this weird X Factor competition going on here. With Rossaline with the harp between her legs, presumably. It's the imagery here.
I don't think they did subtle.
Well, no. I mean, it's a wonderful little sequence. I mean, this whole act actually going on from where we were the time before. We've had a whole series of interesting interlocking scenes, none of which I think are vital, but are really, really engaging. Rossaline does say a few more lines, but she is almost done with. Any last thoughts on Rossaline while we're here?
I want more of her.
Me too. I love her.
It's like we're not at the end of the play yet, so who knows what's going to happen. But I feel she should have her own play.
I think you should write it, Sarah.
Yeah.
Perhaps I will.
I like a play when you come across characters you go, I want more of them. I feel that it's. I like a play where you don't feel you want to cut it, you want to add to it. I think that's a lovely state to be in. Any additional thoughts before we rattle on? We'll probably pause at least once before the end, but otherwise we're very close to it. We're spitting distance to the end. A dangerous thing to say near Rosalind. So the cornets. You had to be here for Act 1. The cornets. Sound has said it. Enter Galeatzo, Matzagente, and Balurdo in masquerie.
The room's too scant. Boys, standing there close.
I' faith, fair sir, I am too sad to dance.
How's that? How's that? Too sad? I haven't dance, and grace him too, or go to... I say no more.
A burning glass, the word splendente fibo. It is too curious, I conceit it not.
Faith, I'll tell thee, I'll no longer burn, than you will shine and smile upon my love. For look ye, fairest, by your pure sweets I do not dote upon your excellence. And faith, unless you shed your brightest beams of sunny favour and acceptive grace upon my tender love, I do not burn. Marry, but shine, and I'll reflect your beams with fervent ardour. Faith, I would be loath to flatter thee, fair soul, because I love, not dote. Court like thy husband, which thy father swears tomorrow morn I must be. This is all. And now from henceforth, trust me, Mellida, I'll not speak one wise word to thee more.
I trust ye.
By my troth, I'll speak pure fool to thee now.
You will speak the liker yourself.
Good faith, I'll accept of the coxcomb, so you will not refuse the babel.
Nay, good sweet, keep them both. I am enamoured of neither.
Go to, I must take you down for this. Lend me your ear.
Glowworm, the word, splendacit tantuum tenebris.
O lady, the glowworm figurates my valour, which shineth brightest in most dark, dismal, and horrid achievements.
Or rather, your glowworm represents your wit, which only seems to have fire in it, though indeed 'tis but an ignis fatuus, and shines only in the dark dead night of fool's admiration.
Lady, my wit hath spurs, if it were disposed to ride you.
Faith, sir, your wit spurs have but walking rowels, dull, blunt. They will not draw blood. The gentlemen ushers may admit them the presence for any wrong they can do to ladies.
Balurdo?
Truly, I have strained a note above E for a device. Look you, 'tis a fair ruled singing book. The word perfect, if it were pricked.
Have I got a Flavia down? I haven't given anyone Flavia. Someone jump in.
Though you are masked, I can guess who you are by your wit. You are not the exquisite Balurdo, the most rarely shaped Balurdo.
Who? I? No, I am not Sir Geoffrey Balurdo. I am not as well known by my wit as an alehouse by a red lattice. I am not worthy to love and be beloved of Flavia.
I will not scorn to favour such good parts, as are applauded in your rarest self.
Truly, you speak wisely, and like a gentlewoman of 14 years of age. You know the stone called lapis. The nearer it comes to the fire, the hotter it is. And the bird, which the geometricians call avis, the farther it is from the earth, the nearer it is to the heaven. And love, the nigher it is to the flame, the more remote. There's a word, remote. The more remote it is from the frost. Your wit is quick. A little thing pleaseth a young lady, and a small favour contenteth an old courtier. And so, sweet mistress, I truss my codpiece point.
Yes, and as he trusses his codpiece, a little thing pleaseth a young lady. I think you'll find that's certainly not true. It's one of these sequences where it's sort of like the camera is zooming in on a section and then zooming in on, the action is focusing on different parts of the room as little scenettes of this court are occurring. We have Mellida being very badly wooed by Galeatzo. And then we got Rossaline doing more of her, who shall I play around with this time? And Balurdo working on some Flavia, or the other way around, and it's all nicely confusing because we've got masks going on throughout this as well. So visually, this is really exciting and interesting. Thoughts on that? Oh yes, Derek. I see waving, but is silent. Is muted.
They have masks, but they also have signs, and I think that's really interesting. Like, it seems that there's something sort of written. I was reading recently about, place signs where someone would come on and go, "Oh, look, I'm in Illyria." But here, the people actually have some sort of motto, and I just think that clash of costume and text is interesting.
What were we reading the other day where we had someone with something pinned on them saying who they were? I forget. That's a really good point. I like that. Anyone else about where we are? We're nearly at the end. We're so close. And
it doesn't feel like the end. It doesn't feel like the end.
No. There's a sense of the whirling scene, but there's no sense of the plot crashing towards a conclusion, is there?
No.
A few pages to go. I'm sure something will happen any moment now. Any second.
But this sequence that we've just read makes so much more. I hadn't thought about it. Makes so much more sense if it is a dance, because that brings people to the front to say their piece, and then they move back.
Yeah. There's a whole court ritual in action going on here. We've had X Factor. Now we're doing Strictly. And so that it's doing all the games again of entertainment. It's keeping the room and the entertainment ticking over, and the plot seems to be actually the whole plot seems to be a MacGuffin. It's just a pretext for stuff to be happening, and so long as the stuff is entertaining, that doesn't matter. I don't want to take that too far, but that's a thought that occurred. Okay, we're going to rattle into the closing section. I'll endeavour not to pause per se. Have we had a mention of Andrugio entering at any point? Just a question before we go.
It says it right here under Feliche.
Is it?
It's cornet sound of Senate and enter Andrugio in armour, it says.
Right. I see. I haven't sectioned it. Excellent. And that's very important, Andrugio entering in armour. So I will read that with aplomb when we come to it. Try not to say it as dialogue Feliche. At which point we should enter Feliche.
What might import this flourish? Bring us word.
Stand away. Here's such a company of flyboats hulling about this galleass of greatness that there's no boarding him. Do you hear, yon thing called Duke?
How now, blunt Feliche? What's the news?
Yonder's a knight hath brought Andrugio's head and craves admittance to your chair of state.
Which suggests, so this is the stage direction. I think that must be actually around about the time of the entrance of Feliche. Because
yes, it would make sense that what makes sense flourish.
Yeah, so that's
sorry, I didn't see that was a stage direction.
Yeah, it's clearly misplaced because it's you're referring to Andrugio in armour. So Andrugio is entered in armour. Cornets have sounded earlier, which Piero referenced, but we will carry on with the text. Piero, conduct him.
Conduct him with attendance sumptuous. Sound all the pleasing instruments of joy. Make triumph stand on tiptoe whilst we meet. A sight most gracious, a revenge most sweet.
We vow, by the honour of our birth, to recompense any man that bringeth Andrugio's head with 20,000 double pistolets, and the endearing to our choicest love.
We still with most unmoved resolve confirm our large munificence, and here breathe a sad and solemn protestation. When I recall this vow, O let our house be even commanded, stained and trampled on as worthless rubbish of nobility.
Then here,
and he raises the
Piero.
beaver. He raises the beaver on his armor.
Piero is Andrugio's head, royally casqued in a helm of steel. Give me thy love and take it. My dauntless soul hath that unbounded vigour in his spirits that it can bear more rank and dignity with less impatience than thy cankered hate can sting and venom his untainted worth with the most viperous sound of malice. Strike! Oh, let no glimpse of honour light thy thoughts. If there be any heat of royal breath creeping in thy veins, oh, stifle it. Be still thyself, bloody and treacherous. Fame not thy house with an admired act of princely pity. Piero, I am come to soil thy house with an eternal blot of savage cruelty. Strike or bid me strike, I pray my death, that thy near-dying shame might live immortally to posterity. Come, be a princely hangman, stop my breath. O dread thou shame no more than I dread death.
We are amazed, our royal spirits numbed in stiff, astonished wonder at thy prowess. Most mighty, valiant, and high-towering heart, we blush and turn our hate upon ourselves for hating such an unpeered excellence. I joy my state, him whom I loathed before, that now I honour, love, nay more, adore.
So the sight of Andrugio in full armour has played around with everybody's heads a little bit here. The still flutes sound a mournful senate. Enter a funeral procession, followed by Lucio.
But stay, what tragic spectacle appears? Whose body bear you in that mournful hearse?
The breathless trunk of young Antonio.
Antonio, me, my lord, my love, my...
Sweet precious issue of my most honoured blood, rich hope, vain virtue, right virtue, oh, untimely loss, yet again. Come hither, friend, prithee, do not weep. Why, I am glad he's dead. He shall not see his father vanquished by his enemy, even in princely honour. Nay, prithee speak. How died the wretched boy?
My lord!
I hope he dieth yet like my son of faith.
Alas, my lord!
He died unforced, I trust, and valiantly.
Poor gentleman, being...
Did his hand shake or his eye look dull? His thoughts real fearful when he struck the stroke? And if they did, I'll render them out the hearse, rip up his cerecloth, mangle his bleak face, that when he comes to heaven, the powers divine shall ne'er take notice that he was my son. I'll quite disclaim his birth. Nay, prithee speak, and 'twere not hooped with steel, my breast would break.
Oh, that my spirit in a sigh could mount into the sphere where thy sweet soul doth rest.
Oh, that my tears, bedewing thy wan cheek, could make new spirit sprout in thy cold blood.
Balurdo?
Verily, he looks as pitifully as a poor John. As I am a true knight, I could weep like a stoned horse.
Villain, 'tis thou hast murdered my son, thy unrelenting spirit, thou black dog, that tookst no passion of his fatal love, hath forced him give his life untimely end.
Oh, that my life, her love, my dearest blood, would but redeem 1 minute of his breath.
I seize that breath. Stand not amazed, great states. I rise from death that never lived till now. Piero,
Keep thy vow, and I enjoy more unexpressed height of happiness than power of thought can reach. If not, lo, here, there stands my tomb, and here a pleasing stage. Most wished spectators of my tragedy, to this end have I feigned, that her fair eye, for whom I lived, might bless me ere I die.
Can breath depaint my unconceived thoughts? Can words describe my infinite delight of seeing thee, my Lord Antonio? Oh no, conceit, breath, passion, words be dumb, whilst I instill the dew of my sweet bliss in the soft pressure of a melting kiss. Sic juvat ire sub umbras.
Their son. Now I'll be proud to call thee son. Enjoy me thus. My very breast is thine. Possess me freely. I am wholly thine.
Dear father.
Sweet son, I can speak no more. My joy's passion flows above the shore and chokes the current of my speech.
Young Florence Prince, to you my lips must beg for a remittance of your interest.
Galeatzo?
Sorry, I've just lost the page. In your fair daughter, with all my thought, so help me, faith, the naked truth I'll unfold. He that was never hot will soon be cold.
No man else makes claim unto her?
The valiant speak truth in brief, no.
Truly, for Sir Geoffrey Balurdo, he disclaims to have anything in... Truly, for Sir Geoffrey Balurdo, he disclaims to have had anything in her.
Then here I give her to Antonio, royal, valiant, most respected prince. Let's clip our hands. I'll thus observe my vow. I promised 20,000 double pistolets, with the endearing to my dearest love, to him that brought thy head. Thine be the gold, to solemnize our house's unity. My love be thine, the all I have be thine. Fill us fresh wine, the form we'll take by this. We'll drink a health, while they two sip a kiss. Now there remains no discord that can sound harsh accents to the ear of our accord. So please you, niece, to match.
Truth, uncle, when my sweet-faced coz hath told me how she likes the thing called wedlock, maybe I'll take a survey of the check roll of my servants, and he that hath the best parts of, I'll prick him down for my husband.
For passion of love now, remember me to my mistress, Lady Rossaline, when she is pricking down the good parts of her servants. As I am true knight, I grow stiff. I shall carry it.
I will. Sound Lydian wires, once make a pleasing note, on nectar streams of your sweet airs to float.
Here ends the comic crosses of true love. Oh, may the passage most successful prove.
And Andrugio steps forward as Epilogue to deliver these final lines.
Gentlemen, though I remain an armed Epilogue, I stand not as a peremptory challenger of desert, either for him that composed the comedy, or for us that acted it, but a most submissive suppliant for both. What imperfection you have seen in us, leave with us, and we'll amend it. What hath pleased you, take with you and cherish it. You shall not be more ready to embrace anything commendable than we will endeavour to amend all things reprovable. What we are is by your favour. What we shall be rests all in your applausive encouragements.
Remember the bits you liked. Throw out anything you didn't like. Okay, it's a trap. They've set it up so that Piero, in a very public place, has basically pardoned everyone who he's called enemies, and he follows that logic by pardoning everyone. Lucio continues not to get a word in edgeways. Balurdo continues to be a horny little devil. Was any of that setup preceded in the text? Did we discuss? Did anyone expose earlier this concluding plot strand?
I don't think so.
No.
Not that I saw.
No. Missing.
Yeah, it just happens, and it's very effective in a sense. But you kind of feel like we should have been warned.
It's Felice's plot, isn't it? I mean, he's the maker of it because Andrugio and his son are too wet to think up anything positive. I mean, all they do is despair.
Yeah.
So maybe we then got to look at Feliche as being a sort of Machiavellian character.
I just vaguely organised. I think he's just got a file of facts. I mean, you know, he's surrounded by the emo kid and the slightly overacting father figure in full armour. I mean, it's so theatrically over the top from what they're presenting to the court as well. You know, they're presenting this pageant within already a bit of a masked ball, and so you've got all these things happening at the same time, and you know, it's got to be played absolutely straight from Piero and Andrugio, because it is pure, you know, plot. Make Piero feel guilty so that he forgives the people that he sees there. There's some fun wordplay.
I mean, Piero is always so passionate about killing his enemies, and he turns in seconds to loving them, demanding to be the father of one of them. He is utterly incredible.
But I think it's that logic, that melodramatic logic of switching. The moment you switch absolutely. There's no middle ground anywhere. You know, that's where the story's going, so you go there and you go with it with absolute conviction. That doesn't mean there still isn't the really fun comedies. I mean, Balurdo has really grown, literally as well as figuratively. And Rossaline, you know, go, oh, maybe I'll get married in the end, and he immediately comes running up.
Yeah, I must admit, I think there is something that could be done with exploring the three female characters and their interrelationship. I forget who it was who was reading Flavia earlier in the week, but played as a rather chippy young maidservant who's not unaccustomed to getting a little bit ahead of her own station. You know, and playing all sorts of games. You can actually see some quite interesting interactions between the three of them.
Yeah, there does seem to be, in the same way you've got three sort of lesser courtiers and three sort of the women as well. You have a series of interrelations as they sort of bounce off each other. I mean, the court as a blob is really quite well developed, even if some of the characters are in less focus than others. I saw Gloria's hand.
I just think it would be an amazing musical. Just like all the songs, the dancing, the love couples, you know what I mean. It would be so great as like a weird musical.
I think it is, in a sense. I mean, in that sense, you know, the music is constant. The dancing is constant. I mean, it may not be a book musical. It may be. I think that thing of, if we're building a Marston theatre, it's a cabaret space. Yeah. You know, you've got very close contact between the stage and the audience. It can't be too big a space. You know, it's a few hundred, and it's just so seedy.
Now there's a thought. Feliche as MC.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really miserable MC.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking MC in
cabaret.
Yeah. In the cabaret role.
Yeah.
But one thing that occurred to me with the sort of almost burlesque scenes that have gone on with, particularly involving Balurdo, it almost has got resonances of Sheridan, which is what, a century or so later. you're getting into almost the Rivals type
Well, it's nearly 2
character
centuries.
with malapropisms and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah, you've got lots of precedents for all sorts of actions and things thrown in there. Other thoughts in the room before we take a little break as we move into the next play.
I love the fact that Andrugio is wearing armor for the whole of this last scene,
Yeah.
and I love the way that all the puns that come with that, being stiff and the rest of it. But it must have been totally ridiculous.
I like the idea that he's brought on with a sort of sack barrow kind of thing, and he's just literally wheeled and placed, and he can't actually move.
That would not be in any way typical of the armour of the time, because the armour of the time was incredibly flexible and a lot lighter than we give it credit for.
For comic effect, though.
Oh, fair enough. If he's got a bad armour, then yes.
Other thoughts about the play overall now that we've completed it, for those who've been here throughout, or even in and outy. Of course, we're preparing for Antonio's revenge, so we're all looking forward to him to revenge the terrible harm that was done to him.
I just want to see this play done. It'd be hilarious chaos.
William.
It seems that it's such a silly, silly play, really. And what is there to be revenged? What's the revenge aspect of it that's going to happen? I'm very curious about that now. I'm sort of glad we've got this bit done, but
crimes to music,
possibly.
I have really enjoyed this play.
Yeah,
it took me time to get into it, but once I got over the strangeness of it. Oh, the other thing I noticed about Marston is that his characters interrupt each other, which is not far more than in other early modern plays that I've read.
Yeah,
there's also stutters in there and weird ways of interrupting your own speech and stuff like that I haven't actually seen before, I don't think, that often anyway.
Well, within this group, I think we did have a little bit of that or nowhere near as much, but in the Spanish tragedy, didn't we?
We did.
We did comment that, didn't we?
In the letter scene, there was quite a lot of interruption, but it's not.
Oh, nowhere near as
common thing. Yeah.
Actually, on the basis of Marston as a writer, one thing he likes to do is make lists. He likes to go 1 this, 2 this, 3 this. And also lists of insults and things. The I sigh, I weep, I fawn, those kind of little rhetorical flourishes with lines filled with verbs doing stuff.
Is that a form of satire, though? Making fun of certain conceits in
that could well be that's what it's pointing up. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, this is stretching it a bit. This is a deeply questionable statement I'm about to make, but having done quite a lot of work on much earlier plays, interludes, things that were traditionally performed by boys within a court setting, there's a huge tradition of people doing long comic lists there. And it's almost like there's a series of set pieces that may be part of maybe some sort of very background link to the past within institutions that there's some connection that I'm missing. But it's just that little thing in the back of my head just going, there's that thing of every so often just doing something random to just wake the audience up, and throwing in songs and random dances and random incidents that seems to really connect with that earlier tradition that isn't quite as playhousey, if that makes sense.
And is it that sense as well? I know someone mentioned the likeness to pantomime earlier in the week. It's that sense of the audience maybe would be, because the audience would be made up of people who had been to see previous years, and those people when they were first coming, there would be people there who had been to see them for previous years before that. So you've got this thing of it, almost an inheritance by the audience, so that they're expecting certain things, like with Panto, they're expecting certain lines. And so they have to, I mean, I know what I did a Panto tour. Gloria probably did this as well later on. We were doing a schools tour, and there was this song called the Sausage Song, and none of us had ever come across it. None of the actors had ever come across it before, but all the audience knew it because it had been passed down to them from previous tours in previous years, going back for 10, 20 years. So there's this expectation that the audience have inherited certain jokes that then have to be put in almost to...
Well, there's a question, especially with the songs in this.
Yeah.
Is there a song that always has to be performed about 2/3 of the way through, because that's what the audience are here for, and you're going to hold it on for as long as possible so that nobody leaves? Because they've got this beautiful boy soprano who's going to do this fabulous song. Everybody loves it, and the play has to now hinge around that song until everyone gets the new song comes along. And those entertainment elements that sometimes plays might get constructed around. Again, spitballing here. I have no evidence for anything I'm saying.
I must admit, following on from that, there was a slight feeling to me in the whole piece that it was resonant of some of the 20th century musicals. There is just barely enough plot there to string together a series of set pieces, and I got the feeling that quite a number of those scenes could well have been used, reused, messed around with over time in a succession of different shows. So you're almost getting a golden hit list, edited highlights.
Well, the afterlife of some plays, considerably into the future of certain set pieces, do have an afterlife. Quite a surprisingly long afterlife. I don't know anything from this particular play, but material does get reused and reformed elsewhere. So that is not an unknown thing. Final thoughts before everyone scrabbles to change over to the next script. We're all eager to get to the revenge, aren't we? Okay, everyone, start turning over. Turn over the leaf of Antonio and Mellida. I'm just going to briefly talk while you all do that and get yourselves together about the closing epilogue. And this is something we've touched on in the podcast, and was mentioned before we went live. Was the armed this armed epilogue. Which it seems that this play possibly gets caught up in what's known as the War of the Theatres, or the Poets' War, which is basically Marston, Decker throwing shade at Ben Jonson, and Ben Jonson throwing shade back, and various other people get involved as different writers, for various reasons, attack each other's work quite publicly, and it seems to be something that lives in prologues and epilogues. And on the podcast, we've touched on this. And in the prologue to the Poetaster, or Poetaster, or however you pronounce the bloody title, by Ben Jonson, there is an armed prologue who enters and makes very pointed comments. So it may be a reference to this closing epilogue. So that you open a play with an armed prologue in comment of this other writer who had a armed epilogue. It may not. It may just be a coincidence. But certainly there are playwrights slagging off each other's work, possibly because it's good box office, as well as the fact that they also might hate each other. And there's a whole universe of interconnectedness, which I'm only really starting to map out on the podcast now. But if you want to have a little listen to those opening and closings, we have recorded the epilogue to Antonio and Mellida with a little bit of commentary. We've done the opening of the Poetaster, and there's another one that coincides or overlaps with that, which I can't remember off the top of my head. So if you are watching this online, you can go to the Beyond Shakespeare podcast and have a little listen to those and argue with me about my thoughts and comments there. Has everyone switched scripts?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So we now open Antonio's Revenge, written relatively soon after Antonio and Mellida, within a few years, probably at least, by audience demand. Absolutely, the first part was so successful. A second part had to be commissioned. We had so much fun with part one that where is part two going to go? Because Antonio's Revenge, very confusing title, very exciting. So this is the second part of the narrative, and we have a nice long prologue to start everything off. So go prologue, please.
The rawish dank of clumsy winter ramps, the fluent summer's vein and drizzling sleet, chilleth the wan bleak cheek of the numbed earth, whilst snarling gusts nibble the juiceless leaves from the naked shuddering branch and pills the skin from oft the soft and delicate aspects. Oh now, methinks a sullen, tragic scene would suit the time with pleasing congruence. May we be happy in our weak devoir, and all part pleased in most wished content? But sweat of Hercules can ne'er beget so blessed an issue. Therefore, we proclaim, if any spirit breathes within this round, uncapable of weighty passion, as from his birth being hugged in the arms and nuzzled twixt the breasts of happiness, who winks and shuts his apprehension up from common sense of what men were and are, who would not know what men must be, let such hurry amain from our black-visaged shows, we shall affright their eyes. But if a breast nailed to the earth with grief, if any heart pierced through with anguish pant within this ring, if there be any blood whose heat is choked and stifled with true sense of misery, if aught of these strains fill this consort up, thrive most welcome. Oh, that our power could lackey or keep wing with our desires, that with unused pays of style and sense we might weigh massy in judicious scale. Yet here's the prop that doth support our hopes. When our scenes falter or invention halts, your favor will give crutches to our faults.
Just pause there, because that's a lovely way of changing the tone. If anyone in this room is still nuzzling twixt the breasts of happiness,
get over it now.
Stop it, you'll go blind.
Yeah, take a note of the black visage scene. We're hanging the black tabs today, and yet there's still lightness and wit to that. Everyone feel suitably turned around by that prologue. Any thoughts on it?
He's keen on adjectives, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
Lovely. Okay.
All right.
Let's take it further. Let's go into some action. We've changed the mood a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. Act 1, Scene 1, a corridor in the Paris of Piero. Enter Piero, unbraced, his arms bare, smeared in blood, a poignard in one hand bloody, and a torch in the other. If you were in any way unclear the tone of this play, we are just seeing it visually depicted now.
I like it already.
Stotzo following him with a cord.
Oh, Gaspar Stotzo, bind Felice's trunk onto the panting side of Mellida.
Exit Stotzo.
'Tis yet dead night, yet all the earth is clutched in the dull leaden hand of snoring sleep. No breath disturbs the quiet of the air. No spirit moves upon the breast of earth, save howling dogs, night crows and screeching owls, save meagre ghosts, Piero, and black thoughts. 1, 2. Lord, In 2 hours, what a topless mount of unpeered mischief has these hands cast up.
Re-enter Stotzo.
I can scarce coop triumphing vengeance up from bursting forth in braggart passion.
My lord, 'tis firmly said that...
Andrugio sleeps in peace. His brain hath choked the organ of his breast. Feliche hangs, but as a bait upon the line of death, to tice on mischief. I am great in blood, unequalled in revenge. You horrid scouts, that sentinel swart night, give loud applause from your large palms. First, no, my heart was raised unto Andrugio's life upon this ground.
Duke, 'tis reported...
We both were rivals in an army of blood. Unto Maria, fair Ferrara's heir, he won the lady to my honour's death. And from her sweet crop this Antonio, for which I burn in inward sweltering hate, and festered ranking malice in my breast, till I might bilk revenge upon his eyes. And now, oh blessed now, 'tis done. Hell, night, give loud applause to my hypocrisy, when his bright valour even dazzled sense, in offering his own head, public reproach had blurred my name. Speak, Stotzo, did it not? If then I had...
It had, so please.
What had, so please? Unseasoned sycophant, Piero Stotzo is no numbered lord, senseless of all true touch. Stroke not the head of infant speech till it be fully born. Go to!
How now? Phush! I'll not smother your speech.
Nay, right thine eyes, 'twas but a little spleen. Huge plunge. Sin's grown a slave, and must observe slight evils. Huge villains are enforced to claw all devils. Pish, sweet, my thoughts, and give me...
Stroke not the head of infant speech. Go to!
Nay, calm this storm. If I ever held thy breast more secret and more firm in league of blood than to be struck in heat with each slight puff, give me thine ears. Huge infamy hath pressed down my honour, if even then, when his fresh act prowess bloomed out full, I'd ta'en revenge on his hated head.
Why, it had...
Could I avoid to give a seeming grant unto fruition of Antonio's love?
No.
And didst thou ever see a Judas kiss with a more covert touch of fleeting hate?
No.
And having clipped them with the pretence of love, have I not crushed them with a cruel ring?
Yes.
Say, Faith, didst thou e'er hear or read or see such happy vengeance, unsuspected death, that I should drop strong poison in the bowl, which I myself caroused unto his health and future fortune of our unity, that it should work even in the hush of night, and strangle him on sudden, that fair show of death, for the excessive joy of his fate, might choke the murder? Ha, Stotzo, is not rare? Nay, but weigh it. Then Feliche stabbed, whose stinking thought frightened my conscious heart, and laid by Mellida to stop the match and hail on mischief. This all in one night is to be equalled, think'st thou? I could eat thy thumbling throat for thy laggard censure, but is not rare?
Yes.
No, yes, nothing but no and yes, dull lump. Canst thou not honey me with fluent speech, and even adore my topless villainy? I will not blast my own blood for revenge. Must not thou straight be perjured for revenge? And yet no creature dream 'tis my revenge. Will I not turn a glorious bridal morn into a Stygian night? Yet naught but no and yes.
I would have told you, if the incubus that rides your bosom would have patience. It is reported that in private state Maria, Genoa's duchess, makes to court, longing to see him whom she ne'er shall see, her lord Andrugio. Belike she hath received the news of reconciliation. Ah, a reconciliation with death, poor lady, shall but find poor comfort in't.
Oh, let me swoon for joy. By heaven, I think I'll say my prayers within this month at least. I am so boundless happy. Does she come? By this warm reeking gore, I'll marry her. Look I not now like an enamorate? Pause in the father, butcher the son, and marry the mother. Ha! Stotzo, to bed. Snort in secure sleep. The sea, the dappled drake coursers of the moon, beat up the light with their bright silver hooves, and chase it through the sky. To bed, to bed. This morn my vengeance shall be amply fed.
Well, we're in quite a different world here, aren't we? Poison the father, butcher the son, and marry the mother. Ha!
EastEnders season 1.
Yeah,
and not the right place for Rossaline at all.
No. And is it me, or is it just that the writing style for Piero is very different?
Yeah.
It felt immediately just structurally different. We've got the same game we had with Lucio in part 1 of the Stotzo just can't win here. He either says too little or he says too much, and he's going to get berated either way, and he can't get a word in edgeway. But it's used in a semi-dramatic sense as well. Yes, there is humour here, but it's also really dark and twisted. Piero is very clear: do not interrupt the exposition. I'm in the middle of some detailed work here. Huge plunge. That's a fascinating thing.
I hadn't read ahead of this at all, so it took me totally by surprise as well. So it explains some of the stumbles and breathlessness throughout, I think.
Yeah. How have we found this first? I mean, it repeats its exposition several times, so I don't think anyone's really unclear as to what's going on, or has anyone got any doubts? Ask questions.
Question, why has Feliche been killed?
Yeah, we never hear that.
Well, has he been killed?
Oh,
he's hanging.
Yes, his trunk. Yes.
Yeah, and that could be visually shown if you so decided. It's not mentioned, but you might.
And the sadism of tying the trunk to Melinda.
Yeah. You know what? It's such a grotesque image.
But that's his own daughter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. But she's picked the wrong side.
For wanting Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Feliche sided with Antonio. So there is a sort of twisted logic there.
Right.
You know, Antonio only had one ally in court, and that was Feliche.
That's true.
It almost felt like Stotzo was still slightly in the comedy from the last play, though, and Piero's kind of dragging him into the revenge comedy. Not comedy, the revenge tragedy, so to speak. Freudian slip there.
Well, I know. I think that's a good. It's a good Freudian slip. I think this is going to be playing games about what we think genre should be, and I think there is a mixture going on. Helen, I think, and Alan, I think. Either of you were going to say something?
No. I'm just staring at the text in amazement.
I'm just wondering, in fact, whether what we're seeing is in the previous piece, most of the courtiers we saw were lightweights. And I think Stotzo probably, while he didn't appear as such in the first one, was maybe used to that sort of lightweight atmosphere. And now suddenly he's becoming an accomplice to murder at least.
He's a creature. He's described in the cast list as a creature of Piero. Ruth, you were going to say something.
Piero comes across to me very much as a caricature of a revenge hero. As if he's kind of going through the motions. This is what revenge feels like. And he has to keep repeating it. That for revenge, 'tis my revenge, as if he needs to impress on people that this is what he's doing. It's very caricatured.
I wonder if it's sort of strange world of Gurney Slade. They're all trapped in a revenge tragedy and they don't know how to get out. Tamara.
Well, in that vein, it's almost like he's there having this massive speech about all the horrible things that he's doing because of revenge, and shut up, I'm in the middle of my monologue and revenge, and it's like like Ruth said, it's almost comedic.
I similarly felt like the speech was more important than the actions here. Like he skips, Marston prefers to narrate, a nice poisoning. Like a good poisoning can be really nicely staged, but he sort of, I don't know whether that's too complicated for him, but that doesn't make sense because he has a lot of really complicated choreography, but he seems to prefer the words to the actions.
It does seem like they're much more interested in what comes next. He just wants to say, right, these people are dead. They were in the last play. They're dead. They're all definitely dead. You're never going to see them again. Gloria.
Just that line, stroke not the head of infant speech till it be fully born. So it's that it feels like very much this is a speech that is being given birth to, and so yeah, and even that's quite sort of got, not gory. Well, no, actually, yes, gory imagery as well. Yeah.
Is it looking back to that sort of Senecan let's describe everything rather than stage it thing, and right. Is that part of the mix, as well as all the other things we won't mention? William.
Stotzo wasn't in the last play.
No, was not, or at least wasn't named as Stotzo in the last play. I mean, would you like to think it's Dildo, who does not appear in this play?
I think Dildo was a page.
Yes, page.
Yeah, I think he's one grade up. He may be Dildo 5 years later.
I don't see an obvious crossover at all with this character. He does seem a definite import.
But if we're talking about 5 years later, I very much get the impression that this is the next day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yes, Helen, I wasn't suggesting that it was the same, but what I'm saying is someone who has grown up within the court and has effectively, along the way, lost all his scruples.
Final thoughts before we move on?
It seems that Piero has become now as verbose as Andrugio.
Yes.
He's caught a bit of it, from the last scene, scene he was in. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next scene? Let's see where this is going. Okay, Act 1, Scene 2, and we're going to have the new characters entering. We've got Maria and Nutriche, as well as Lucio, who we saw in the last play. They enter the precincts of the palace.
Stay, gentle Lucio, and vouchsafe thy hand.
Oh, madam.
Nay, prithee, give me leave to say vouchsafe. Submiss entreats beseem my humble fate. Here, let us sit. Oh, Lucio, fortune's guilt is rubbed quite off from my old slight tin-foiled state, and poor Maria must appear ungraced of the bright fulgur of glossed majesty.
Cheer up your spirits, madam. Fairer chance than that which courts your presence instantly cannot be formed by the quick mould of thought.
Art thou assured the dukes are reconciled? Shall my womb's honour wed fair Mellida? Will heaven at length grant harbour to my head? Shall I once more clip my Andrugio and wreathe my arms about Antonio's neck? Or is glib rumour grown a parasite, holding a false glass to my sorrow's eyes, making the wrinkled front of grief seem fair, though 'tis much rivalled with abortive care?
Most virtuous princess, banish straggling fear, keep league with comfort, for these eyes beheld the dukes united. Yon faint glimmering light ne'er peeped through the crannies of the east, since I beheld them drink a sound carouse in sparkling Bacchus unto each other's health. Your son assured to beauteous Mellida, and all clouds cleared of threatening discontent.
What age is mourning of?
I think about 5.
Nutriche! Nutriche!
Oh, beshrew your fingers! Mary, you have disturbed the pleasure of the finest dream. Oh, God. I was even coming to it, Law. Oh, Jesu, 'twas coming of the sweetest. I'll tell you now, methought I was married, and methought I spent, oh, Lord, why did you wake me? And methought I spent 3 spur royals on the fiddlers for striking up a fresh hornpipe. Saint Ursula, I was even going to bed, and you thought, methought my husband was even putting out the tapers when you, Lord, I shall never have such a dream come upon me as long as...
Peace, idle creature, peace. When will the court rise?
Madam, 'twere best you took some lodging up and lay in private till the soil of grief were cleared your cheek, and new burnished lustre clothed your presence. For you saw the dukes and entered among the proud Venetian states.
No, Lucio, my dear lord is wise, and knows that tinsel glitter, or rich purfled robes, curled hairs hung full of sparkling castanets are not the true adornments of a wife. So long as wives are faithful, modest, chaste, wise laws affect them. Virtue doth not waste with each slight flame of crackling vanity. A modest eye forceth affection, whilst outward gayness' light looks but entice. Fairer than nature's fair is foulest vice. She that loves art to get her cheek more lovers, much outward gauds, slight inward grace discovers. I care not to seem fair, but to my lord. Those that strive most to please most strangers' sight, folly may judge most fair, wisdom most light. But hark! Soft music gently moves the air. I think the bridegroom's up. Lucio, stand close. Oh, now, Maria, challenge grief to stay thy joy's encounter. Look, Lucio, 'tis clear day.
They retire to the back of the stage. Enter Antonio, Galeatzo, Matzagente, Balurdo, Pandulpho, Feliche. That's an interesting question. Alberto, Forobosco, Castilo, and probably various people who we can't properly double for this sequence. It may go horribly wrong. Let's find out.
Darkness is fled. Look, infant morn hath drawn bright silver curtains about the couch of night, and now Aurora's horse trots azure rings, breathing fair light about the firmament. Stand! What's that?
And if a horned devil should burst forth, I would pass on him with a mortal stock.
Oh, a horned devil would prove ominous unto a bridegroom's eyes.
A horned devil. Good. Very good.
Ah, yes, sorry, I apologise, because you that is actually a
that
chap
was
called
Alberto.
Alberto. I apologise.
Yeah.
We haven't got one. I'll be Alberto, because I don't see anyone down. Let's just... So Antonio's done his great oration, and then the courtiers are doing banter again.
Right.
Can we go from Maggente's line again, please? I apologise.
Yes. And if a horned devil should burst forth, I would pass on him with a mortal stock.
Oh, a horned devil would prove ominous unto a bridegroom's eyes.
A horned devil, good. Very good.
Good tanned prince, laugh not by the joys of love when thou dost grin. Thy rusty face doth look like the head of a roasted rabbit. Fire pond.
Balurdo.
Gloria?
Yep, still. By my troth, methinks his nose is just colour de roy.
I tell thee, fool, my nose will abide no jest.
No, in truth, I do not jest. I speak truth. Truth is the touchstone of all things, and if your nose will not abide the truth, your nose will not abide the touch. And if your nose will not abide the touch, your nose is a copper nose and must be nailed up for a slip.
I scorn to retort the obtuse jest of a fool.
Balurdo draws out his writing tables and writes.
Retort and obtuse. Good words, very good words.
Young prince, look sprightly. Fie, a bridegroom sad?
In truth, if he were retort and obtuse, no question he would be merry. But, and please, my genius, I will be most retort and obtuse ere night. I'll tell you what, I'll bear soon at night in my shield for my device.
What, good Balurdo?
Do me right, Sir Geoffrey Balurdo, sir, as long as you live, sir.
What good Sir Geoffrey Balurdo?
Marry, forsooth, I'll carry for my device my grandfather's great stone horse, flinging up his head and jerking out his left leg. The word, oh, why he pert. As I am a true knight, wilt not be most retort and obtuse. Ha!
Blow hence these sapless jests. I tell you, bloods, my spirit's heavy, and the juice of life creeps slowly through my stiffened arteries. Last sleep, my sense was steeped in horrid dreams. 3 parts of night were swallowed in the gulf of ravenous time, when to my slumbering powers 2 meagre ghosts made apparition. The one's breast seemed fresh paunched with bleeding wounds, whose bubbling gore sprang in my frighted eyes. The other ghost assumed my father's shape. Both cried, "Revenge!" At which my trembling joints, iced quite over with a frozen cold sweat, leaped forth the sheets. 3 times I grasped at shades, and thrice, deluded by erroneous sense, I forced my thoughts make stand, when lo, I opened a large bay window through which the night struck terror to my soul. The verge of heaven was ringed with flames, and all the upper vault thick laced with flakes of fire, in midst whereof a blazing comet shot his threatening train just on my face. Viewing these prodigies, I bowed my naked knee and pierced the star with an outfacing eye, pronouncing thus, Deus imperat astris, at which my nose straight bled. Then doubted I my word, so slunk to bed.
Verily, Sir Geoffrey had a monstrous strange dream last night. For methought, I dreamt I was asleep, and methought the ground yawned and belked up the abominable ghost of a misshapen simile with 2 ugly pages, the one called Master, even as going before, and the other Mounser, even so following after, while Signor Simile stalked most prodigiously in the midst, at which I bewrayed the fearfulness of my nature, and, being ready to forsake the fortress of my wit, start up, called for a clean shirt, ate a mess of broth, and with that I awaked.
A pretty peace. I tell you, gentlemen, the frightful shades of night yet shake my brain. My jellied blood's not thawed. The sulphur damps that flew in winged lightning about my couch, yet stick within my sense. My soul is great in expectation of dire prodigies.
Tut, my young prince, let not thy fortunes see their lord a coward. He that's nobly born abhors to fear. Base fear's the brand of slaves. He that observes, pursues, slinks back for fright, was never cast in mould of noble sprite.
There's a sun will straight exhale these damps of chilling fear. Come, shall salute the bride.
Castilio, I prithee mix thy breath with his. Sing one of Signor Rinaldo's airs, to rouse the slumbering bride from gluttoning and surfeit of superfluous sleep. Good signor, sing.
So we're not short of songs.
No.
However we shift, we're still going to have some beautiful music. Okay, so we introduce a new character and her attendants. We're introduced to the mother. We know that there's a plot element that's heading her way. Nutriche seems to be having some very enjoyable dreams. Was I getting a double meaning there?
Yes, probably.
I think so.
I think she's the counterpart to Flavia, isn't she?
Yeah, it's that or Rossaline. There's definitely something they're definitely enjoying themselves around the plot that's approaching them. And then we get the court again, who are they're actually not that much different since last time we saw them, are they?
Well, Balurdo is though. I mean, I'm confused now because was he always meant to be a fool in the previous play, or have they just changed his character slightly? Because he was a fool in the sense of he was a fop, he was a courtier, he was a bit of an idiot, but now he actually seems to be playing the role of the fool. the fool of the household. Like,
I don't know. I mean, you're right. He's openly mocking Antonio's sense of melodrama, isn't he? You know, he's deliberately there to undermine.
And he's far more quick-witted than he was in the previous play. He's got that full sense of like license that he can speak and mock that no one else can. But he's also like he's playing with words and images in a way that Balurdo wasn't really doing in the previous play. I don't know. He's just struck me as much more of a classic fool character here, whereas in the last play he was a foolish courtier, which is a different thing. Makes sense.
I didn't feel that myself, but okay. I'll go.
I certainly felt there was a difference.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if, in fact, what happened is we know that this was deliberately written as a sequel, whether Balurdo's bits in the previous play went down so well that they decided to expand.
I mean, his dream's fabulous. I love the idea of being attacked by a simile.
Yeah, right.
Stalked by a simile. And that's a wonderful thing. We had a mention of a stone horse before, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
The second
it's a stallion.
time. Yeah.
It's a stallion. It's not. It means it's still got its stones.
Oh, I see. Fabulous.
It does.
Fabulous.
Every play reading session ought to carry a historian.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've got one or two here. Yeah, I mean, it is. Antonio seems to be in an actively different play from everybody else. I mean, that's what's interesting about that. Is his speech is so different, and it is, it does work. But almost by placing him in the context of all these other people, they're openly sort of undermining it as it goes, because he's just in the wrong scene. He should be by himself. And that juxtaposition seems very deliberate and interesting. He's still in the revenge plot. He's already moved on to the revenge plot. Everybody else is still in the comedy.
It's all the more effective then that way, isn't it? Because he's doing his having these horrible dreams and woe and everything dismal, and everyone else is just basically enjoying themselves. We're saying, shake, get over it type of thing.
Yes, Balurdo's comic story is could actually be good natured, just to sort of snap him out of it and slightly mocking him for being a bit emo. He still feels like he's in emo mood, isn't he?
He doesn't feel quite as much of the kind of just roll on the floor though and be like,
no.
Oh, everything's awful.
No, he's got more weight, hasn't he?
And we've got 3 dreams. I mean, it's interesting when we had 2 dreams, but now we've got 3.
I'm just wondering. In fact,
the nose, all the jokes about noses are really fascinating, because isn't there a syphilis reference in there about the copper nose?
The copper nose.
Right, that people had these noses, copper noses made because syphilis ate away at your nose, and
yes,
some quite pointed references there.
And I'm just wondering actually whether Antonio's sleep, because of going back to the Piero's opening, where there's a reference to poisoning, whether in fact what's happened is Piero's attempted to assassinate Antonio with drugs in the wine, but all it's done is given him an unsound sleep.
So do you mean sort of dreams within dreams?
Yeah, or it's a drug induced.
Drugged.
Yeah, because it was supposed to kill him, perhaps, and didn't.
That's the way I read the opening, that Piero was effectively saying, look, I've got shot of Andrugio and Feliche and Antonio.
Can I just ask about the Feliche that comes in? So if Feliche,
I think that must be an error.
The ghost of Feliche.
No, it may be, but I suspect it's just an error.
It was. Yeah, I had a quick look. It was in the original printing, so it's an error that goes all the way back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Any additional thoughts before we finish what we've got for today? I think we'll run to the end of the act and then we'll stop.
Okay.
Okay, lovely. So the song completes, and we're going to have a bit of a reunion in a moment now. So end of song sung by Castilo, I think.
Or is it sung by Antonio?
No.
Castillo, I
No.
pretty
Oh,
mixed
yes.
my breath with his. So I think that
It's Castillo.
correct. Yeah.
What means this silence and unmoved calm? Boy, wind thy cornet, force the leaden gates of lazy sleep, fly open with thy breath. My Mellida not up, not stirring yet?
That voice should be my son's, Antonio's. Antonio!
Here? Who calls? Here stands Antonio.
Sweet son!
Dear mother!
Fair honour of a chaste and loyal bed, thy father's beauty, thy sad mother's love, were I as powerful as the voice of fate, felicity complete should sweet thy state. But all the blessings that a poor banished wretch can pour upon thy head, take, gentle son. Live, gracious youth, to close thy mother's eyes, loved of thy parents till their latest hour. How cheers my lord thy father? Oh, sweet boy, part of him thus I clip, my dear, dear joy.
Yeah, embraces Antonio.
Madam, last night I kissed his princely hand and took a treasured blessing from his lips. Oh, mother, you arrive in jubilee and firm atonement of all boisterous rage. Pleasure, united love, protested faith, guard my loved father as sworn pensioners. The dukes are leagued in firmest bond of love, and you arrive even in the solstice and highest point of sunshine happiness. Hark, madam, how yon cornet jerketh up his strange shrill accents in the capering air, as proud to summon up my bright-cheeked love. Now, mother, ope wide expectation. Let loose your amplest sense to entertain the impression of an object of such worth that life's too poor to...
Nay, leave hyperboles.
I tell thee, prince, that presence straight appears of which thou canst not form hyperboles. The trophy of triumphing excellence, the heart of beauty, Mellida appears. See, look, the curtain stirs, shine nature's pride, love's vital spirit, dear Antonio's bride.
And the curtain is drawn, and the body of Feliche, yes, he was in this scene, stabbed thick with wounds, appears hung up.
What villain bloods the window of my love? What slave hath hung yon gory ensign up in flat defiance of humanity? Awake, thou fair unspotted purity. Death's at thy window. Awake, bright Mellida. Antonio calls.
Enter Piero, unbraced with Forobosco.
Who gives these ill-befitting attributes of chaste, unspotted, bright to Mellida? He lies as loud as thunder. She's unchaste, tainted, impure, black as the soul of hell.
Antonio draws his rapier, offers to run at Piero, but Maria holds his arm and stays him.
Dog!
Sorry.
I will make thee eat thy vomit up, which thou hast belched against taintless Mellida.
Rammed quickly down, that it may not rise up to embraid my thoughts. Behold my stomach, strike me quite through with the relentless edge of raging fury. Boy, I'll kill thy love. Pandulpho, Feliche, I have stabbed thy son. Look, yet his lifeblood reeks upon this steel. Albert, yon hand's thy friend. Have none of you courage of vengeance? Forget I am your duke. Think Mellida is not Piero's blood? Imagine on slight ground I'll blast his honour. Suppose I saw not that incestuous slave, clipping the strumpet with luxurious twines? Or numb my sense of anguish, cast my life in a dead sleep, while law cuts off yon maim? yon putrid ulcer of my royal blood.
Keep league with reason, gracious sovereign.
There glows no spark of reason in the world. All are raked up in ashy beastliness. The bulk of man's as dark as Erebus. No branch of reason's light hangs in his trunk. There lives no reason to keep league withal. I had no reason to be reasonable. Her wedding eve, linked to the noble blood of my most firmly reconciled friend, and found even clinged in sensuality. O heaven! O heaven! Were she as near my heart as is my liver, I would rend her off.
Enter Stotzo.
Whither, oh, whither shall I hurl vast grief?
Here, into my breast. 'Tis a place built wide by fate to give receipt to boundless woes.
Oh, no! Here throb those hearts which I must cleave with my keen, piercing news. Andrugio's dead.
Dead?
Oh, me most miserable.
Dead? Alas, how dead?
Gives seeming passion.
But weak, apt, vain, dead? Alas, how dead?
The vast delights of his large, sudden joys opened his powers so wide that his native heat so prodigally flowed to exterior parts that the inner citadel was left unmanned, and so surprised on sudden by cold death.
Oh, fatal, disastrous, cursed, dismal, choke breath and life. I breathe, I live too long. Andrugio, my lord, I come, I come.
She swoons.
Be cheerful, princess. Help Castilo. The lady swooned. Help to bear her in. Slow comfort to huge cares is swift as sin.
Courage, courage, sweet lady. 'Tis Sir Geoffrey Balurdo bids you courage. Truly, I am as nimble as an elephant about a lady.
Exeunt Piero, Castilo, Forobosco, and Balurdo bearing out Maria.
Dead. Dead?
Dead?
Why, now the womb of mischief is delivered of the prodigious issue of the night. My father dead, my love a taint of lust. That's a large lie, as vast as spacious hell. Poor guiltless lady, oh, accursed lie. What, whom, whither, which shall I first lament? A dead father, a dishonored wife? Stand! Methinks I feel the frame of nature shake. Cracks not the joints of earth to bear my woes?
Oh, sweet prince, be patient.
Straight, sir, I will not in despite of thee. Patience is slave to fools, a chain that's fixed only to posts and senseless log-like dolts.
'Tis reason's glory to command effects.
Lies thy cold father dead, his glossed eyes new closed up by thy sad mother's hands? Hast thou a love as spotless as the brow of clearest heaven, blurred with false defames? Are thy moist entrails crumpled up with grief of parching mischiefs? Tell me, does thy heart with punching anguish spur thy galled ribs? Then come, let's sit and weep and wreathe our arms. I'll hear thy counsel.
Take comfort.
Confusion to all comfort. I defy it. Comfort's a parasite, a flattering jack, and melts resolved despair. Oh, boundless woe! If there be any black yet unknown grief, if there be any horror yet unfelt, unthought of mischief in thy fiend-like power, dash it upon my miserable head. Make me more wretch, more cursed if thou canst. Oh, now my fate is more than I could fear, my woes more weighty than my soul can bear.
And he exits. Why laugh you, uncle? That's my cuz, your son, whose breast hangs cased in this cluttered gore.
True, man, true. Why, wherefore should I weep? Come, sit, kind nephew. Come on. Thou and I will talk as chorus to this tragedy. Entreat the music, strain their instruments with a slight touch, whilst we... Say on, fair coz.
He was the very hope of Italy, I will say, as music starts playing softly in the background. The blooming honour of your drooping age.
True, coz, true. They say that men of hope are crushed, good are suppressed by base desertless clods that stifle gasping virtue. Look, sweet youth, how provident our quick Venetians are, lest hooves of jade should trample on my boy. Look, how they lift him up to eminence, heave him above the reach of flesh. Ha ha ha!
Uncle, this laughter ill becomes your grief.
Wouldst have me cry, run raving up and down for my son's loss? Wouldst have me turn rank mad, or wring my face with mimic action, stamp, curse, weep, rage, and then my bosom strike? Away, 'tis apish action, player-like. If he is guiltless, why should tears be spent? Thrice blessed soul that dieth innocent. If he is leopard with so foul a guilt, why should a sigh be lent or a tear be spilt? The gripe of chance is weak to wring a tear from him that knows what fortitude should bear. Listen, young blood, 'tis not true valour's pride to swagger, quarrel, swear, stamp, rave and chide, to stab in fume of blood, to keep loud coils, to bandy factions in domestic broils, to dare the act of sins whose filth excels the blackest customs of blind infidels. No, my loved youth, he may of valour vaunt, whom fortune's loudest thunder cannot daunt, whom fretful gales of chance, stern fortune's siege, makes not his reason slink, the soul's fair liege, whose well-paced action ever rests upon not giddy humours, but discretion. This heart in valour, even Jove outgoes. Jove is without, but this above sense of woes, and such a one eternity. Behold. Good morrow, son, thou bidst a fig for cold. Sound louder, music, let my breath exact. You strike sad tones unto this dismal act.
And yes, so it closes on some louder music at the end there as the anti-Hieronimo speaks. And that's how I felt about that, because of course we've got a hanging dead son, and everyone's saying you should be going mad at this point and really going for it. And he goes, nope, not going to do that. We've seen that play. It happened somewhere else. So many things. So many things here. The mock giving seeming compassion of just going aside. Remember to weep, act, and feign. Remember the acting classes we did. Dead. That's really nicely done. Quote for the mug there. I think for t-shirts, truly I am as nimble as an elephant about a lady. I think that's
I realised only after I'd read it, I realised I read it entirely wrong.
Yeah.
But it's, so apologies.
It's a fabulous line. Maria being carried out by 4 people, so one on each leg and each limb. Where you tilt this scene and where you play humour and where you don't, it really is in the players. It's so horse's head in the bed, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Open the curtains. Where's my love? She's in there. Dead body hanging there. God, yeah. Tamara, you waved.
Well, I was just wondering. So, is Mellida dishonored because they found Felice's body in her bedchamber?
Pretty much.
That's the implication, I think.
And if so, where is she?
Is she attached to him?
Is she dead?
I think the impression is that this is the entranceway to her chamber, and that this is outside the door, and that she's still within, asleep, or carried off. It's not
So
very clear.
Didn't they say at the beginning that they were going to tie her to his dead body?
Yeah, I think it's not quite that literal.
Okay.
In effect,
like tying him to her, because I mean the whole point.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Linking,
Piero say
isn't
that
it?
he's killed him because he caught them at it?
Yes.
So
With Feliche, can we all just remember who Feliche was? Piero has picked the least plausible person in the entire court.
Poor Felice.
This is so wather thin that he actually effectively breaks in the middle of it, and effectively just goes, I'm the who's going to go against me for doing this? Who's anyone going to not play the game that I've started here? It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Thoughts.
I'm having read the Pandulpho cold, I'm afraid, but I'm still stunned by the quantity of adjectives. He is totally adjectives.
And again, that feels like it's deliberate cramming in with that character.
Yeah.
I said it was the sort of the anti-Hieronymo, but that doesn't mean it's still not doing the very over-the-topness. It's just doing it in a different way, kind of thing.
The way in which Pandulpho, I mean, that last speech is a real tour de force, and Pandulpho breaks into all these rhyming couplets, and it does seem very, very insistently artificial or rhetorical. I mean, they're very, very, strike, like, spent, innocent, guilt, spilt. I mean, it's very, really rams it home.
He's working very hard on his stiff upper lip.
Right.
I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Or I felt he ought to. I mean, that was... You could play it that this is how he actually feels, or you could say this is what he thinks he ought to feel. And I rather go for the second.
Being stoic about it.
Yeah, it's that hysterical laughter breaking through, isn't it?
We wonder if he's just gone a little bit mad, and he's not being logical at all. He's
I was going to say, I'm not sure that he is the anti-Hieronymo. I think he wants to pretend he's the anti-Hieronymo, but he's that laughter. He's protesting. I can't say protesting too much. He's
and yet somehow you did. Somehow you did.
He's over-egging the pudding,
thank you,
so to speak. You can cut that bit out.
And it's also the fact that it's underscored. His speech is melodrama in that, purest sense of the word. It's got a musical score underneath it, so he's playing it in theory to to whatever the music is. And then he goes, "Well, you're not going fast enough." So the musicians aren't keeping up with his speech, perhaps.
And Alberto is underlining the fact that what he's saying is against nature.
But it's almost like he's saying, "No, I've seen that play. Doesn't end well. I'm not going to go down that route." And then Alberto is like Helen said, is going, "No, but surely you are angry."
I'll throw another thought out at you that nobody in this play so far has talked to each other. People make a speech with somebody else there. I don't know if anyone's really had a conversation yet. There might have been a few little bits.
Maria with Lucio, but
Mariah has a little bit, hasn't she?
But we have these big set piece speeches where some other people break up the flow a bit, and that's quite interesting.
There's a small amount of response. Antonio responds to his mother.
Yeah, that felt quite genuine. Okay, we are very much into extra time now. We've done a little more text than we have, or a comparably large amount of text than we've done in the past. Where are we with this play, and where are we in relation to the last play? How are you feeling about Antonio's Revenge? We took us a couple of sessions to really figure out where we were with Antonio and Mellida. Do we know where we are with this play?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Helen,
no doubt.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Blood. No, can't say that. We're in a revenge play.
But
no question.
Tamara.
But it's still it's almost, sometimes it feels like it's overdoing it.
Yeah, I agree. There's it's going back to what Rob was saying earlier. It turns like so quickly. Yes, we're in a revenge tragedy, but there's still a lot of like comedy contrast within it. Even now it's getting darker. I mean, maybe it's going to get darker and darker and darker as it goes on. I haven't read ahead, so I don't know. But there's just these moments where it suddenly switches back and forth. And I'm finding that still quite fascinating, confusing in a fascinating way.
And as far as Antonio's Revenge goes, I mean, they've already doubled his motive. So Mellida is kind of, her reputation is blotted. And he hasn't really gotten into the Andrugio's death yet as well. So, there's this over-determination.
Yes, we don't see his body.
No.
Also, I don't think Antonio knows that his father is dead, but he doesn't know how or why, because it's been put out that he effectively died of happiness.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Yes, he doesn't know how. Yeah.
I mean, what they've said is he was so happy that it overcame him.
Which seems
dead.
Sorry, Derek. Say again.
Sorry, I was just saying, that seems like a bit of a weak revenge as far as Piero goes. Like, he doesn't really get much sort of value out of that revenge.
No, but it's fake, isn't it? I mean, when who was I playing? The creature. Stotzo, when he comes in and says, oh, he died because he was so happy, his heart burst or whatever. I mean, that's all fake. That whole scene is fake, that him and Piero have set up beforehand, because right at the beginning of the play, Piero says that he's murdered Andrugio, and then Stotzo's his creature, so he comes in and kind of announces the news to the court. Oh, he's dead. Because
he's also planning to marry Mariah, isn't he? Or try to, at least. So.
Sarah.
Sorry, yes. Continue. Thoughts?
Yes,
Alan.
Certainly feels like we got more of a plot. As I said, the first play felt to me like it had just about enough plot to hang scenes on. This one has got much more of a through line. And there is development already. After at the end of Act 1.
Well, it's interesting with the first play. We had this sort of introduction of a plot straight away of Antonio, I'm in disguise, and that plot got dropped very, very quickly in many ways. It played out over a couple of acts and then was much less important. And there's a question is this the plot we're looking for? I should point out the last play was called Antonio and Mellida, and where is Mellida? Haven't seen her. Will she appear?
Has it? Sorry, I think I'm baffled now. I thought that Piero has killed her.
No,
I don't think he's killed her.
No.
He's framed. He
said
framed her.
he would, didn't he? Didn't he say
No.
at one point that he would, but he hasn't?
Right.
Yeah, it's at the moment he's just shaming her and ruining Antonio's day via that. But no, she will she will appear tomorrow. She definitely will. Looking ahead, yes. But yes, her role may be quite different. Final thoughts, because we're about to wrap up. Anyone's got any final things to say? We lost William. He had to nip out. So anyone else who, before we do shut down, wave at me. No, we're all good, are we? We're all good.
Yeah.
Waiting with bated breath and a sense of anticipation for what's coming tomorrow as we rattle through Act 2 and Act 3 of this fascinating play. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me and reading these wonderful parts, introducing some comments and some thoughts. And thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.